Here.
Councilwoman Leah. Councilman Patel.
Here.
Councilman Anderson.
Here.
Councilwoman De Jesus.
Here.
Councilman Small.
Here.
Councilwoman McCullough.
Here.
Vice President Vaccaro.
Here.
And President Bauer.
Here.
Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from August 2nd and August 9th?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from the council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Beginning with second reading ordinances this evening, we're going to take letter A first, which is an amendment to chapter 7 of the revised ordinance of Township of Woodbridge with regards to designating handicap parking space at Gilway. We have a motion that this ordinance be taken up on second and third reading and a public hearing be open.
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public hearing is now open on letter A only. There are no comment from the public. I get a motion that the public hearing be closed, the ordinance be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law.
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Letter B is an ordinance amending chapter 7, also the traffic revisions within the municipal code. This is to designate a multi-way stop intersection, which is a four-way stop on North Washington Avenue at Bedford Avenue. Can I get a motion that this ordinance be taken up on second and third reading and the public hearing be open?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Public hearing is now open on letter B only. Hearing no comment from the public, can I get a motion that the public hearing be closed, the ordinance be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law?
Motion. Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Letter C is an ordinance establishing salary ranges for the employees of the Township of Woodbridge. Can I get a motion that this ordinance be taken up on second and third reading and a public hearing be open?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public hearing is now open on letter C only.
Good evening, Tom Maris, Fords, New Jersey. Can you please expand upon item number C? What exactly does that do? How much is it raising the salaries, and is that for every employee within the township?
Housekeeping, each employment has a position, there's a range of salary that position can make, so it's not going up. Am I correct?
This ordinance does not raise anybody's salary.
There's a range that that position can make between, say, 0 to 10,000, so it's a range of what they can make for that position, for example.
So it's pretty much housekeeping.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions with regards to letter C only?
John Vitari, Woodbridge. On the Woodbridge range for Woodbridge employees, my question is, when we purchased the club, the employees that work for the people that own the clubs, the Poro Brothers, I believe, are they Woodbridge permanent resident? Are they included in that thing? Are they Woodbridge permanent employees? Employees of the club.
There's nothing to do with
It has
this
nothing to do
ordinance.
with this ordinance.
You can ask that in the general meeting.
Thank you.
Any other questions on or comments on letter C? There are no other comments. I get a motion that the public hearing be closed, the ordinance be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law.
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And finally, second reading on letter D, an ordinance authorizing the sale of certain property identified as block 50, lot 17.03. Can I get a motion that this ordinance be taken up on second and third reading and the public hearing be open?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public hearing is now open on letter D only.
Again, Tom Maris, Fords, New Jersey. I'd like an explanation of which property is that specifically, why is it being sold, what is the proposed use by the buyer, and at what price?
It's a piece of property, if you know Smith Street, heading, I guess, west. There's a triangle that Smith Street cuts off to the Casey Firehouse. A piece of property we own that we're selling to the developer for $500,000. He's developing a warehouse in that area.
Is that going to take down the fire station that's there?
That's part of the different project, right?
It's an open piece of property.
It's overlaid.
It's open, but yeah, that's the firehouse and that residential
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on letter D? Letter D only?
Is there any way to raise the volume a little bit on them? It's hard to hear.
No other comments on letter D? Here, no other.
Again, the letter D, the Smith Street property in KSB. The two property involved over there was a 45, or 45 or 47, or just one piece of property?
One piece of property.
One piece.
Okay. Again, there's a private sale, and of course, you got 13 acres of the township property goes to develop the warehouse.
Can you try that again?
Alongside of it, you got a township property with 13
Ordinance, this ordinance is only for the one piece of property that we own, not the other part that is already.
So you don't own the additional 13 acres alongside of it?
It's not the subject of this ordinance, you can save that for the general meeting too.
Thank you.
Any other comments under letter D? There are no other comments. Can I get a motion that the public hearing be closed, the ordinance be adopted, and subject to the mayor for approval as required by law?
Motion. Second.
Any comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We'll take first reading ordinances listed as letters E, F, and G. Can I get a motion that these ordinances be passed on first reading, published in the Home News Tribune on August 26, 2022, with notice of public hearing held on September 18, 2022 at 6 p.m.
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Mr. President, you have resolutions listed before you as numbers 1 through 31. Can I get a motion by consent to approve them?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Stats, my fellow councilmates, for their consideration and support on resolution number 7 for the Avenel Community Committee to host our annual Avenel Very Merry Holiday Land.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mitch. This time we'll go to the public portion of our meeting. If you go to the microphone, please state your name, part of the township or state you are from. You have a one-time, 5-minute time period. All video taking must be taken within a designated area in the rear of the room. There will be no shining down from your seats. Please respect each other. Please make sure all signs or posters do not block walkway aisleways. Thank you.
Any comments from the public this evening?
Sure. Before I go speak, I give you, this is what I'm gonna talk to is just so sure you guys, I don't have enough. About property taxes, I just had a question. Is the tax, is registered? I don't know.
No.
I didn't run to the at-large. At-large, why not share this? I work remote, so I don't have access to a good printer and that. All right. Try to be efficient with time here. So my name is Scott Gorich. I live in Woodbridge proper, a couple of blocks from here. So what you have in front of you is a quick assessment of properties close to my property that are, in the first section, what I've highlighted is the difference in our assessed values. On the right side, you're going to see a comparison of the square footage and the land size. And what you can see is two of the homes have 50% more land than I do. Two of the homes have 70 and 30% more house than I do, but our assessments are only incrementally different. Somebody's got to explain that to me. I'm a relatively new property owner. I come from Jersey City, whereas some of you may or may not know, went through a huge disruptive reval. I know that is a very dirty word because we're close to next on the list. I know, John, you'll disagree with me on that. We're, what are we, 30 years from a reval? So I've got a couple of questions. If it requires scheduling time afterwards to have a better answer for them, just let me know who I have to talk to about these things. So first off, just the sheet. Who can explain that significant difference in assessed value given the difference in land and house value being so dramatically more than mine? So when I look at it, I'm paying almost the same property taxes as these massive, and by the way, regarding those 4 houses, in order, the first one, I won't mention the addresses because I don't want my neighbors to hate me. The first one has an in-ground, so I'm the first one on that list, 565. The second one has an in-ground pool and a 2-car garage. I do not. The next one has 5 full bathrooms and a detached garage. I do not. The next one is a 2-family house with 9 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, and a 3-car garage. That is nowhere near my house. The last one has 5 bedrooms, 5 baths. And you can verify these numbers on your own, but somebody's got to explain to me how these differences exist, which tells me either I'm significantly overpaying or they're significantly underpaying. That is inherent when you don't revalue your town every 5 to 10 years. The values fluctuate in different parts of the town, and as the budget goes up, our assessments stay all the same. It is a massive powder keg, and I know what I will pay in the event of a reval, so I am not pushing for it. Because I know my neighborhood will go up significantly, and I, again, don't want my neighbors to hate me. Couple of questions. The average property tax rate in Jersey is about 2.4. Ours is about 3.2, but we are not a Cranford, we are not a Summit. No offense, I don't say that, I say that on a relative basis. Who can also explain from a budgetary standpoint how our tax rate is this high, but I would argue we don't get equivalent services to towns that would be considered higher end. And I am going to the BOE meetings and having separate discussions, because every time I ask tax questions, they point over to the BOE building and go, there's your answer. I'm addressing them separately, and I will meet with Wolferman and Dr. Messamino separately about all of that. What is the best way to get a list of all the currently active tax abatements and all the conditions? What does a tax abatement, if any, have an effect on the coefficient of deviation? Because once we get to 0.15, the state will mandate a reval. It is going to happen. What are we doing to prepare for that? It will start to bring to light whether we are overspending, misspending, spending appropriately. It will make it all readily apparent. And I'm an optimist. What is the best way outside of the budget online to get a line item by line item understanding of the city's budget? I see a lot of miscellaneous this, miscellaneous that. These are not very user-friendly. Who can I sit down to speak about these things? Because it isn't making a lot of sense to me. I work in finance. So that's a lot of questions. Who can explain this, if anyone? Who can I go to understand these discrepancies? And what are we doing for the future?
You can talk to the tax assessor about the details of this. I'm not able to explain everything. It's all different properties. They were built or bought at different times. It all depends on a lot of different factors. You started mentioning some, but the age of the house, regardless of what's in the house, the age of the house matters. There's all kind of factors that go into this. As far as the one thing you said, which I don't agree with, that you've got other towns that have more services or better services than we are. I'd like to know who they
At a
are.
lower tax rate.
I would like to know who has better services
I'll come
in the
back with
state of
that.
New Jersey than we do.
come
When you
back.
look at garbage, you look at public works, and you look at police, and you look at health, and you look at 6 senior centers and 3 youth centers and 51 parks. I'd like to know who has better, but I will ask.
And I don't mean that inside, I don't mean we
No,
don't
I
have
get it,
services.
I get it, but I'll take offense when you say other towns have better services. I don't know. But Mr. Duda, if you want to call my office tomorrow, I'll have Mr. Duda call you back, and he can explain the deviations in these individual things.
So that's that, can someone, so, and I know my time is up.
Sorry, you're 5 minutes up, so if you could reach out tomorrow.
But can someone answer the point about who I talked about getting tax abatement information?
Your 5 minutes are up.
Any other comments from the public this evening?
Good evening, Paul Lund, Hope Lawn. Mr. Anderson, a few meetings ago, you were very comfortable bringing anal, oral, and vaginal sex to our conversation about the new sex education standards. Not too long ago, this was a topic that you wouldn't bring up in polite conversation, much less a public forum, but here we are. It seemed you were saying that it was no big deal. These days, kids are more exposed to sex than ever before, so they need reliable information to protect themselves. I have 2 problems with that. One, I don't trust the sources of information. Planned Parenthood's bread and butter is abortion. It's probably why they've applauded the new standards in the state of New Jersey. Big bad pharma, earns big bucks transitioning to transgendered. Between chemicals and surgeries, we're looking about $1 million per. Gender theorists like to use the word theory to give the impression that 72 gender identities is actually based in science. Number two, information does not equal wisdom. There's no substitute for life experience. Children's brains are underdeveloped. They still operate in impulse. They still operate as very impressionable young people.
At what age are you? At what age are you describing children at that age? Where they're
Well, I
impulsive?
teach
Where the children
middle.
are impulsive?
I teach
At what
middle.
age range?
Okay, I'd like to answer that,
I'm
Mr. Anderson.
just asking you a question.
Obviously, they grow out of impulsivity at different rates. Each child is a unique being. That's why having standards, especially around sex, is probably not a good idea. Children's brains are indeed underdeveloped through a good part of their teen and preteen years. I've been teaching in middle and high school for 14 years. I can
I'm aware
attest
of
to that. Okay, that's true, North Brunswick. If you teach them ways to practice sex, they will practice. And there will be babies conceived, and Planned Parenthood will have more customers. If you teach them about consensual sex, which in the standards is by grade 8, before they're even old enough to consent, you will be grooming sexual predators, intentionally or unintentionally. I assume it's unintentional. Mayor McCormick, are you okay with this? I'm here to ask you to exert your influence on the Board of Ed, to ask them to follow Garwood's lead to opt out of these sex ed standards. And then parents won't have to. You once told me around all these energy alternative schemes that you just as soon see opt-in as a way to go. At the very least, I'm asking you to allow parents to opt in to lessons that they may feel are highly inappropriate for their children. You are an Eagle Scout. I'm asking you, for God's sake, do the right thing. And I don't believe I have questions in that, but do you have any comments?
Well, you've come in and made a lot of comments around comprehensive and
Health and
sex,
physical-
but you've also made those same comments around critical race theory as well, about how we educate. So I ask you, where do I get my refund? Where do I get my refund on my education? Because I learned about Pearl Harbor, I learned about Little Bighorn and Custer, but I didn't learn about Greenwood, Oklahoma. I didn't learn about Rosewood, Florida. You're an educator.
So slavery
You're an
was
educator.
kept a secret from you, wasn't it?
I'm sorry?
Slavery was kept a secret from you?
No. Slavery wasn't kept a secret from me, all right? But when mass communities were burned to the ground, that was kept a secret from me up until 2 years ago. Why didn't we learn about that? There's a lot in education that we can learn about, but the thing is, you have to start speaking the truth. The truth is, children, unfortunately, they're susceptible to sexual abuse, okay? When you're telling them not to learn anything, they're susceptible to sexual abuse.
Not what I said, but continue.
They are, well, you said that we're teaching them to be predators. That's what you just said.
I
We're
didn't say I was teaching
students
students to be predators. You're making them vulnerable by giving them information to an unformed person who's not had the maturity or life experience to properly apply that information. We call that wisdom. That comes later.
And
You're rushing this education on
I'm not.
innocent
I'm not.
children.
I
You are the
told you
county
about- I told you
superintendent.
about the standards.
You can do
Standards of
something about
Department of
this, and we
Education.
are expecting you as a community to do something about it.
Mr. Lund,
Yes, sir.
the standards are dictated by the Department of Education. Every community has a right to work with their community and their stakeholders to deliver the information in the most proper way that their community accepts it to be. All right?
Yes.
Frank Trombator, Strawberry Hill Avenue in Woodbridge. Good evening, all. This is one of the times I'd rather not be here. I was buttonholed on Main Street, so that's why I'm here. On March the 1st, Governor Murphy signed into law Assembly Bill 4454. Starting in the upcoming school year, all public schools will be required to teach transgender identity and sexual orientation diversity lessons beginning in kindergarten. Fact. NGEA is teaching first grade teachers how to perform Drag Queen Story Hour. First grade. According to a new report from Mike Lilly and the Sunlight Policy Center, they hired Pedagogy Institute to help train our teachers. Figure out what pedagogy means. The New Jersey Education Association published an ad labeling parents who speak out at school board meetings against critical race theory and gender identity lessons as extremists. They put an ad on television that called the parents extremists. The New York Times promotes explicit sex education book for children. Oh, how nice. The old gray lady. Elementary school principal recommends children embrace transgender propaganda for summer reading. A Board of Education member by the name of Lamb in Monmouth County went on television and said that the NGEA and Spiller should look in the mirror before calling parents political extremists, as the union had spent $20 million to re-elect New Jersey Governor Murphy. Parents, I'm quoting her, protecting their children is not political. It's survival, Lamb said. This state has taken the noble, honorable profession of teaching and tarnished them as predators and pedophiles. I am incensed by that. My father revered education, and when he went to school on a parents' night, he believed every word that teacher said. Now, can parents believe anything a teacher says? I don't know. I don't think so. Students are being intimidated by their peers and obligated by the faculty to affirm sexual ideology that contradicts their religious beliefs. Tragically, they're being labeled as transphobic and harassed on social media to conform to the approved sex beliefs of state government. This is the state government. Here's what the parents want. Tell their kids to refuse to fill out the survey until shown to the parents. One person said, put the school taxes in escrow and starve the union teachers. Another one said, unenroll the kids for 15 days to flatten the tyrant curve. This is not me, this is the citizens on Main Street. Homeschool and then re-enroll. Another one came up to me and said one of the most disturbing things. Too late, the Democrats sold the country to communist China. This is not me, I'm just telling you what they said. 18 U.S. Code, Section 242 of Title 18, deprivation of rights under color of law, makes it a crime for a person acting under color of law to willfully deprive a person of a right or privilege protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States. For the purpose of Section 242, acts under color of law include acts not only done by federal, state, or local officials with their lawful authority, but also acts done beyond the bounds of that official's lawful authority if the acts are done while the official pretending to act in performance of his or her official duty. That means everybody. Everybody, even a stupid, lowly, elected county committee man falls under that regulation. I beseech the town fathers and mothers to put an end to this horror in our school. This cannot go on. These are our children. This is our legacy. We're rotting their minds at 3, 5 years old. Come on. Drag Queen Story Hour in kindergarten? First grade? Give me a break. You're embarrassed. You've made a mockery of every teacher in the state. That's the bad news. The good news is I appreciate Councilwoman McAuliffe sending me the list of places for people to get food at food pantries, because we're having a real problem. There's that yield curve inversion between the 2-year and the benchmark is not decreasing very much. In fact, it's widening to 40 basis points, 30 to 45 basis points. Recession is going to start being spray painted on the side of buildings. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crowley. Any other comments from the public this evening?
Hello, my name is Elsie Caro. I live in Colonia. I would like to echo the last two gentlemen, their comments. I know that none of you know me. I come from Jersey City also. I graduated from NJCU with a degree in special education, And then I had a very decorated law enforcement career in Jersey City until it was cut short by a duty-related injury. Knowing this about me, I come from a family of civil servants. Our entire lives, I was raised by civil servants, and I also gave my life towards for the people of the communities that I lived in. With that being said, I know how important it is to have a position of power and to protect the innocent. Knowing that, it infuriates me to know that we have people in the position of power here who aren't doing anything to protect our innocent children. Children, they're gonna have their entire lives to figure out different relationships, things of that nature. They're children for a short period of time. Their childhood is so short. And for them to be robbed of that innocence by people who are supposed to be protecting them and educating them, it's not right. I'm not a politician. I'm a mom. I'm dedicating my life to my family. It's up to you now to take that baton and continue protecting our children. I say to my son all the time, and I believe that it was St. Augustine and also William Penn who had different variations of this. I say to him, what's right is right, even when no one else is doing it. And what's wrong is wrong, even when everyone is doing it. And this is wrong. There's no other way to say it. This is wrong. So I ask you, please, to take a step back and instead of looking at what everyone is doing, what everyone thinks is right, and really put your focus on our innocent children, the small window that they have, and protect that, regardless of what everyone else is doing. That is it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to make a comment, and I appreciate, thank you very much for your comments, Ms. Elsie. Everyone on this day is here. We're all either parents, some of us are grandparents. Many of us have run leagues. I still presently run a league that I've run for 23 years, and I still coach the youngest level, the 5, 6, and 7-year-olds. So I do take exception when someone suggests that we're not protecting our youth. Everyone on this council, I know, does their best to not only protect the youth, but protect this community. Mr. Lund comes every week, every council meeting, and some others come and talk about extremes in the standards and what is being taught here in Woodbridge, because I have 5 children, and all of them were educated here in the school, and I have 2 children still in the school system here. I know what they're being taught, okay? They're not being taught what is being suggested is being taught. But I do have 2 15-year-old boys that if they're afraid to get the information from me, I do want them to be able to trust their teachers. And I want them to be able to come in and know that they're going to get accurate information from someone, all right? Because we have teen pregnancy, we have STDs, we have sexual abuse of children because they had no idea what was being done to them was wrong. So I just want to speak on behalf of my council that we're all here to protect our children. We're here to protect our community.
Can I add something, sir, though? I
Excuse me,
appreciate.
ma'am, you can't speak from your seat, your 5 minutes are up. No, you have one time, 5
We
minutes.
can talk afterwards.
We'll talk
I'll be more than happy to speak
Yeah,
to you
that
after.
would be great.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
All right, my name's Kirk Dawkins. I'm from Midland. And I think y'all gonna have to put this council meeting give it an R rating now. I'm on a lighter note, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, City Council, members and Woodbridge citizens. I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. Mr. Mayor, I really like Woodbridge Township, and I think you're all doing a good job, personally. But I'm really disappointed that I have to move because Woodbridge developers has forced my hand with their unconscionable 8% rent hike and their scam water bill. I'm here again representing the residents of Woodbridge Hills Apartments, a 55 and over adult community. And I'm here to talk about Woodbridge Hills residents' rent leveling application and complaint. At the last council meeting, the mayor mentioned that he was going to check to see if the person who he was planning to meet with about these issues has been legitimately elected president of the Hampton Country Tenant Group and to see if he actually represents the residents of Woodbridge Hills. Well, as of August 8th, the Hampton Country Tenant Group is registered as a New Jersey nonprofit corporation with Kirk Dawkins as trustee. I have a copy of this business formation document for you to view and to keep. I, along with several other of my Woodbridge Hills residents, submitted our complaint and application for rent leveling by email to Mr. Coughlin on April 15th, 2022. As such, Mr. Mayor, we would like to know what date will Woodbridge Township's Rent Leveling Board meet to decide on the outcome of our complaint and application for rent leveling. Also, will the Woodbridge Township Rent Leveling Board have a formal hearing on our complaint and application for rent leveling?
Mr. Dawkins, I don't know the date. I think it's in September. It might move into October. And yes, there will be a formal public meeting of the Rent Leveling Board where testimony will be presented. Mr. Coughlin is working on that. I did get evidence that there was an election of the members of the Woodbridge Hills Association back in 2019. There was a president elected, there was a vice president elected, there was a recording secretary elected. They are the people we're meeting with next week. Mr. Coughlin and I are going out to the 5 Branches Center to meet with what we believe is the board. If there's evidence otherwise, please present it to me. I asked if I wanted to see something that said there is a board. I got something that said there is a board. There's motions made to nominate, motions made to second, there's votes taken, there's minutes. Everything appears to be up and up. I sent it to Mr. Coughlin, who's on vacation. He's a lawyer. He's better able to look at that than I am. But we are right now going to meet with the president and the recording secretary next week. If you've got something that says you're official, I need to see it. But I do have something that I believe is official, that there is a board.
Okay, I got something for you.
But now we'll meet with them, but then when we have the general meeting, we will invite all residents of Woodbridge Hills, all 450 apartments, all 15 buildings, all 800 people. Everybody will be invited, and we will explain what we think our course of action is. And we will take a course of action. We never know if we'll be successful in court of law or not, but our intention, as I said, every meeting is to fight for the residents. And an 8% increase in rent over 3 years, 24%, when the rent leveling ordinance says 5%, if someone's trying to use technicalities to get around that, I'm not in favor of that. But again, I'm not a lawyer, Craig is, I'm not a judge, we'll figure it out. But we're going to fight for the residents of Woodbridge Hills. We've made that clear all along.
I appreciate that. Also, Mayor, the Woodbridge developers, do you know if they filed a claim of exemption with Woodbridge Township construction official? And if they didn't file, does that disqualify Woodbridge Developers LLC from having a claim of exemption from Woodbridge Township's rent leveling ordinances?
I don't know the answer to the question of whether they filed or not. They go back to 1990, and I certainly can't answer a legal question as to whether if they filed it, what it means to them. That's something Mr. Coughlin will have to answer. But if you'd like to shoot me an email tomorrow, tell me exactly what you'd like to know, whether they filed it or not, or actually do an open request and ask for the form, and if we have it, we'll give it to you.
Thank you, sir.
Before I start, I noticed good evening, Councilman So there are quite a few members here. Good evening, council members. There are quite a few members from the Colonia community that are here represent, I should say, Woodbridge Township, who are representing the incident that we have witnessed. And I would like to actually...
Can I just have your name and that part of that?
Sure. My name is Rais Pavaskar. I am a resident of Colonia, the Woodbridge, which comes in Woodbridge Township.
Thank you.
So I would like to make you all aware of an incident that happened here on an Independence Day parade. So there was this parade that happens every year, and every year it happens in a very peaceful way, right? And a lot of people, all caste, creed, participate in this, right? Whether it be Muslims, Sikhs, Hindus, everybody. But this year there was a little incident. I shouldn't say little. Why I say little? It was a huge incident for everybody of us, because there was a bulldozer that was put in front of the parade, and that was a huge, what I say, a symbol of hatred that was presented there for the community. This is, and I'll give you a little background of why I say that. So the bulldozer has been recently become a symbol of hate in India and in Indian politics. It has been used as a tool to bulldoze communities in India, wipe out their businesses, whoever raises objections or stands up to anything that is not right. And that thing was put as a symbol here, right in front of the parade, and we people who were attending that parade were really terrified by that. And it's really objectionable that it was put there, and I really don't know whether anybody of you are aware of this, the way it happened. And I'm sure, people were not aware what this meant, because for them it was just a mere bulldozer, right? But this is a symbol of hate, hatred, and creating fear in the community. We don't need it here in Woodbridge community for sure. It can remain in India the way they are doing the politics, whatever they do there, it can remain there in their shores, but cannot come to our shores and disturb our own community here. Certainly not. And we have the community members here who are actually standing up for that and trying to make people aware that this is a mark of hatred, this is another symbol of Islamophobia, racism, fascism, whatever you call it. Now this comes from an organization that is RSS, which has an US wing which is called HSS as well. Now this organization follows the footsteps of Nazis, which is Hitler's ideology. Now this is no good. I mean, we cannot entertain it in our shores here for sure. We as community members, council members, mayor and his office, we should stand up to this and try to put a checks and balances, of course, and how we can do it, I think we'll have to collectively decide and discuss. But this is too sad, too bad for the community. Now, I have a few points to say. There are residents who have felt bad about it, feared about it. They're also fearing that this kind of hatred might leak into this school system, where there are, especially the high schools, where kids who are mature enough from the other community might get into the acts of bullying using these props by intimidating people, intimidating other kids. There could be Muslims, there could be Christians, there could be Hindus, Sikhs, whoever, right? So that was one of the feedback that we got. The other feedback is that, this was put out there to create a kind of fear in the whole community. The Indian original, people of Indian origin, whether it be whatever caste, creed, or color, right? There's a difference that I wanted to just emphasize here, which people mentioned. There's a difference between Hinduism and Hindutva. Hinduism is practiced in a very peaceful manner, but Hindutva, the way it is being colored today by the Indian government. Come again, sorry? Go ahead. Yeah, but colored by the Indian government is they are trying to be fascist. They are trying to make it very crude and very oppressive to the people. And we don't want it up here. So the request to the community and the council here is that we should have some checks by which when you all approve this kind of parade, we should have some checks and balances somewhere where we can control such acts, and we can have this parade peacefully, where we all can participate, and people from Indian origin who can participate in there very peacefully, run with them, talk to them, celebrate, eat sweets, distribute sweets, all of that. that, I mean, there is no reason for this on our shores. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other comments from the public this evening?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, members of the council. My name is Tariq Hafiz. I live in Islin since 1987. What was witnessed, what this brother Mr. Reis just said was very sad. I was in the town hall meeting at Edison. There were kids 16 and 18 years old who were shivering with fear when they were mentioning that every morning when they open up their Facebook or social media accounts, they are being bullied over there. There was a young lady, about 18 years old. She said she has been harassed on the streets of Woodbridge, on the streets of Oak Tree Road while she was wearing a hijab. And this has started with, a long time ago with the introduction of this bulldozer over here, the introduction of bulldozer in India. Let me explain to you what was the bulldozer. The bulldozer had the name, it was called Baba Bulldozer. The Baba Bulldozer is one of the politicians in India who, when a young lady spoke up, next she knew that without any due process, her house was demolished. Next, they went to the Christians. Some Christians spoke up in her favor, their house was demolished. So this is going on in India. We do not want this over here. Mr. Patel is the member of IBA. He should have known at that time that what the bulldozer meant. He should have stood up for the community, not for his masters in India. He should have told Mr. McCormick, the mayor, that this should not be allowed. When Mr. McCormick, I was here when Mr. McCormick was beaming with joy that he got somebody from the Asian community to represent on the council so that there would be harmony and peace and love among the people in this community. And now this is what he has done. He should be sorry for what he done. He was brought it in to bring peace and harmony to this community. Instead, he's dividing and fear-mongering this community. And I would request Mr. Patel that since he has not been able to do what he's supposed to do, he should resign from his post. If he didn't know, he should have known it. And if he knew, then he put the community under the bulldozer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other comments from the public this evening?
Excuse me, Council President. I was at the event Sunday. I wasn't aware about it, but I will say this about my fellow Councilman Patel. He has served the Asian community in Islam and even Edison, which is not part of the township, admirably since the day he got sworn in. So for anybody to come in here and demand his resignation, they don't know the work that Councilman Patel does on a daily basis, not only in through the entire township of Woodbridge, but specifically the Islam community. Thank you.
Thank you.
So there are quite a few members here who can speak, but they are refraining in the interest of time.
Well, they could get 5 minutes.
Anybody wants to talk? At least raise your hands who are here in support of this movement. I think that's it. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Maris.
Good evening, Tom Harris, 4th New Jersey. A lot to follow up, some really elegant speakers tonight, and I think everybody had very valid points, be it unfair practices in raising rents or our Indian community or South Asian community. I had the pleasure to work with 2 members of the South Asian community almost 6 years ago when we ran together for the school board. They are such an honorable and peaceful people, and it hurts me to know that they're being insulted. And I agree with the fears. If we don't stop this and stop it immediately, and I think the school does a good job. Mr. Small is part of the security system, and I'm sure that they take this very seriously. And they're not going to allow it to happen. But you're right, we need to stand strong to make sure that it doesn't. Because like other things we see creeping into the school that people spoke about tonight, with sex education of minors. You know, that is parental rights. I'm sorry. It should be. And if they're going to teach, I don't want some teacher coming out of a liberal college teaching kids about sex or their morals. That is the domain of the parents, the guardians. And if you're going to do it, why not use professionals such as doctors and nurses to give those courses, not at the discretion of some teacher. And I've heard blowback about suggesting about putting cameras into the classroom, not to monitor the children, but for the safety of everybody there, but also to protect or, if necessary, admonish a teacher who may stray off course. And that can happen both ways. I heard Mr. Anderson talking, and all I can say is, well, this whole country is alight with worries about CRT and DEI. And yet we shouldn't be worried about it in New Jersey? Well, if it happened there, what makes anybody think it could not happen here? It can if you allow it, and we shouldn't allow it. Those curriculums should be heavily monitored. In fact, here's the thing that may go right on the heels of that. I was in the Home News Tribune back on July, and it says, parents push back on sex education. This is the key. State vows consequences for schools that refuse to teach new curriculum. There we go with the state government telling us how to raise our kids and how to teach them morals, what they should be learning, and by whom. Again, I hope everybody will stand together to make sure our community does remain very, very safe. And I'm so glad to see people out tonight. Many of us have been here before. We stand and cry like wolves, pardon me, at the moon, because nobody else is here to hear us. And yet now the community is turning out. And it always takes something that hurts somebody to bring everybody together. But at least we are together, and I hope we stay that way. I also like the question about where does the township stand on the acquisition of the Ross Street School, which is going to be taking the parking lot away and flipping it into a 94-unit apartment complex right across from that beautiful new school. Have you made that purchase yet, Mr. Mayor?
No.
Are you going to make it?
Yes.
So the school board has acquiesced yet again.
No, they have not.
Then how are you going to buy it if they're not saying yes?
The school board has to buy it, that's up to them.
Well, you just said you were going to buy it, so obviously you know. And I hope we get, I'm sorry, I'm not going to debate
Next to
it.
that, they're buying, they're
Thank you,
selling
it's
their
my
land,
time.
we're selling
Please,
our
my
land.
5 minutes, thank you. You'll have yours, and you always take advantage of it. Also, I want to say Ms. Kreffel is here, and I hope everybody's paying heed to stopping this power plant in Casby. It's another thing this town does not need, despite the politicians wanting more money in their piggy bank. And finally, just a matter of safety. I wish somebody would do something with the county on Main Street, going from Route 1 and 9 all the way up to the new apartments. That is a disgrace. That road looks like a tank field. There are huge potholes, unevenness, and if you're going north, just before you go to turn into, I'm sorry, just after, into Wegmans, there is a sunken drain cover right there that must be 3 inches below. Anybody that hits that gets a hell of a rap. And I noticed people struggling to get across that roadway coming out of the apartments already. There's no safety. There's no traffic lights there. We were promised they were going to be there. And if we wait for the county to do it, it's probably going to be a few dead people before it gets done. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public this evening?
Good evening. My name is Patricia Osborne. I'm a resident of Islin. I am a lifelong resident of Woodbridge Township. I'm representing the Human Rights Commission tonight. This is a very interesting meeting that covered a variety of concerns and topics. Mayor McCormick and the council approximately 2.5 years ago reinstituted the Human Rights Commission. Our mission is to stamp out bias, hate, any kind of discrimination within the community. We're also charged to educate the community. And from a lot of the comments that I heard here tonight, that might not be a bad thing if we all came together and had common definitions and knew what we were allegedly talking about. So I'm here to invite you to September 12th's Human Rights Commission meeting, which takes place in this chamber at 6:30. Some of your comments are community comments. Some of the comments address the Woodbridge Township Board of Education. We provide a forum where we can schedule particular topics for the evening. We have no time limits. So if you have concerns or issues and you want to discuss them in detail, we will schedule that topic for the meeting. That doesn't mean anybody that has something else to talk about, but that topic would be our first priority at the meeting. And then we'll see if we can find common ground. We'll listen to your concerns, your issues, and hopefully, together, as a community, we can solve some of these issues or problems and arrest some of your concerns. Chairman Morgan is in transit from Georgia, and he could not be here tonight, but Don Green, who is also sits on the Human Rights Commission, is here. We've heard your concerns, and to say that this was not an interesting meeting would be wrong, because this was very interested, and we heard your concerns. So what we need, and Mr. Maris pointed it out, only a few people come. You're more than welcome to come to our meetings. Chairman Morgan also said that if there's a particular issue that we have to delve very deeply into, we would then form a subcommittee and meet with those individuals. So for example, we've already met several times with the school district over the DEI curriculum. We've met with the police department on very issues and concerns that the public had regarding the police department. So those are just a few of the things that we touched on. We had the health department come and talk about all their services. And the mayor said he'd like to know towns that have more services. Let me tell you, we can strut our stuff here. We have a lot going on in Woodbridge Township. The problem is a lot of people don't know about them. So we're here to inform and educate and to bring the community together. I raised my children in this community. I probably will die in this community. I love this community, and I'm very happy here. And I want everyone else in the community to have the same thoughts and feelings. And council, you have a lot on your plate. And I commend you for taking on the issues of the community. So that's all I have to say tonight, and I hope everybody has a safe trip home. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public this evening? I got a question.
Yes, good evening, members of the council. Charles Cradaville. I'm here today as a New Brunswick resident and the editor of New Brunswick Today, a community newspaper available online at newbrunswicktoday.com. I want to start by saying that I stand with the South Asian community and their calls for condemnation of the Baba bulldozer at this year's parade. I would like to hear from Mr. Patel, his response and reaction to the comments tonight through you, Mr. Chair. Can we hear from Mr. Patel?
Do you have any comments, Council?
Yes, I was at the event. The parade actually they've been doing for years, and usually me, mayor, we all council join the parade. I mean, somebody mentioned the bulldozer. It was in the front. It was in the front. I think it was in the middle. And by the time maybe all of council and the mayor actually they weren't there. I think they just left the stage. We were there only in the beginning part. To me, when it was surprise, I mean, they were asking, I don't know much about bulldozer and Babas, Indian politics, because I came when I was 19 years old, and I've been here for 42 years. I don't follow any Indian politics, But I think whatever they did, organizer, I think it was very deplorable. I strongly condemn myself. I mean, I do associate with them, but I think we are going to talk out to them. Right now, the leadership, they are not present, so we can't talk much about it. But when the president comes, we are going to sit down and say, I think it should not be repeated. And I don't know, we can even ask them for their apologies. I don't know whether we will be successful or not. That's my stand.
Thank you for the honest response.
So that people can pacify and be content with whatever
I don't know much about Indian politics at all.
I'll make you aware. Anybody else can make you aware. Thank you.
Yes, and I would also like to hear if the mayor has a response through you, Mr. Chair. Does the mayor want to condemn the bulldozer?
I've had several meetings, including with many people in this room. I'm learning all about the issues, and I need to hear from the IBA. We've asked them to come in and explain themselves. They haven't been able to do that yet. And I will hold my comments until I've had all the chance to do all that research and hear from all sides about it. But I want to thank you, Mr. Reese. You were in the meeting with me. About 12 people came in last Thursday. Last night, about 6 of us got together at Mr. Patel's house to talk about this. And I'm learning what HSS and RSS and BJP mean, and really getting into education. This was not something I knew about. I was in the front of the parade. I didn't see the bulldozer. If I saw the bulldozer, I would not even know what it meant. But the next day, we were alerted from a lot of people in this room, and I thank you for taking the time to let us know what's going on and to educate us on this. And we will continue a dialogue, but I just think it's proper to hear from everybody before coming to any conclusions and to see what we can do going forward.
Thank you, Mayor. I do want to enter an item into the record, if that's acceptable. I'll hand it over to the clerk after my remarks. I attended the Woodbridge Redevelopment Agency meeting earlier today. I noticed an agreement on their agenda to hire THA Consulting based in Blue Bell, Pennsylvania. And I wanted to make you all aware that the founder of this company was convicted of indecent assault in Pennsylvania. For the record, it was a sex crime against one of his employees. 2 months after his conviction, the company changed names from Timothy Haas and Associates to THA Consulting. And notably, last I checked, a couple of longtime executives in the company were still running it, along with Mr. Haas's wife. They took over the business. And I'll note that the MCIA, which is led by Chairman James Nolan, severed that agency's ties with the company after becoming aware of the conviction and community concerns about it. Quote, they're being replaced, he told me last summer when we started asking questions about this. The item I'll share with you is an August 25th, 2021 article titled Parking Deck Designer Remains on Federal Board After Indecent Assault Conviction, and I would ask that you review it. I guess what I'm trying to learn here is, was the township aware of this situation? If not, does this give you pause about the redevelopment agency doing business with them? If so, how do you justify doing business with them? I know, I believe Mr. Spiller and Mr. Small are on the redevelopment agency, and I would like to hear from them. Through you, Mr. Chair, could the representatives of the redevelopment agency speak on this?
Unfortunately, your time's up at this time. 5 minutes is up.
I'd like to hear from them, if you'll be so kind as to ask them the question.
John Rotaric, Woodbridge. I came tonight for quite different reasons, but I said before, when you see this is like all days that people showed up to the council meetings, and it seems to me people just had enough. They've been listening, they got promises, especially Indian community. I've been with Indian community 30 years ago, and Councilman Patel can tell you that too. Promises are promises, but people will hear they're not just people that somebody's going to be mandated by somebody. They're here as respectable citizens, important citizens. And we try to do, maybe some of us, not me of course, would allow what happens to our children especially, upbringing, how do we educate them, how we function, what we do for them. I'd be kind of offended if I have grandchildren and children and somebody's going to tell me how to bring them up. And me, Councilman Anderson said over there, how about if you have nobody to teach you about birds and the bees, so to speaking? Well, I don't know where he learned. I learned it from my friends. Most of us will come to the time where we're interested, we will ask like anything else. But to us to step in and dictate to our minors, because we also tell them, go to school, listen to your teacher, a teacher is next to parent is a God, so to speaking. How do we know who the teachers are? How we know what they're going to teach them? And the kids are gonna come home and tell the parents, well, my teacher said this, and Mommy, you're wrong, Daddy, you're wrong. It will not happen. I know people like these people over here. They don't want their kids. We don't want our kids to be taught by some government. And like I said before, I was in that kind of school 70 years ago. And they taught us to turn us against the God, at upbringing. And guess what happened? They could not work on our parents. Communism could not succeed, but they worked on the kids. And of course, they brainwashed some kids. And that's what we try to do here. But the bottom line over here is talk to the teachers, and I'm sure officials over here. They don't believe what they want to do to us, to those kids. It's all about money. If we don't do program on, Trenton will not send money. If we don't do this, there's no money. It's a government at the top that dictate you people. It's not up to the mayor, and it's not up to you. It's the people at the top. If you don't do it, we will cut your funds. That's where the Catholic school don't succeed. If you talk to a lot of people in this room, a lot of people in the town, they'll be glad to take their kids out of the schools and put them in private schools, but they can't afford it. And you got it because they cannot afford it. But you should not be forcing those people, those kids, to learn something when they're not ready, because you think they're ready, you want to get it because somebody give you money for it. That's what I got to stop. And you see today, the people will stand up because they had enough. Teach them what you're supposed to teach them to succeed in the world. The rest of the world is not doing what we are doing over here. So I think we're embarrassment. People the rest of the world are laughing at us. This is not just an American issue. This should be a world issue. If it's not a world issue, it should be American. But stay out of it. Leave it up to parents, grandparents to do with the kids. Before I run out, I want to ask another question. On the first reading on the 26th resolution authorizes second amendment to financing agreement with Woodbridge Senior Housing Association LLP for Maple Tree Manor. What kind of agreement, Mayor, is between a maple tree and a Woodbridge?
Okay. Back 20 years ago when that was built, there was an agreement with the township that called for a pilot payment in lieu of taxes at 6.28% of their rents, which is a standard agreement throughout the state for housing authorities. Somehow in that agreement, there was clauses that were problematic because it gave the ability for that number to change or for the town to charge more. And when the owners of that facility went to refinance, the bank attorneys found that problematic and said, we're loaning you based on you paying the town 6.28%. What if they want 12.28 or 20? So they came to us and they said, we have a problem with this clause. And we said, we want 6.28%, which is the standard number. We're never going to seek more. So they asked us to sign an amended agreement so they could show that to their lenders and get that financed. That's all we did. Not changing anything we're receiving. We're going to get the same amount we always get. It's the same on the other housing projects here. It's, as I said, pretty standard in the whole state of New Jersey. So we're just helping them get their project refinanced and getting the paperwork cleaned up so their banks and their bank attorneys can be satisfied.
Mr. Tyler, 5 minutes are over.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Any other comments from the public this evening?
Yeah, my name is Imran Shikhani. I live in Woodbridge Township in Iselin. And I've been here for almost 25 years. The first time I landed in America was in 1993. And I came to New Jersey in probably around 98, 99. I ran in 1993 from India because my house was burnt in the riots. And I thought I have run away from all the chaos and all what India is and, those days. But, then again, back and forth, back and forth. But it really hit me when I went to the parade this year, and this was very, very shocking. And as Mr. Patel said, I started paying close attention to politics. I wanted to run away. I wanted to forget, of all the chaos that happens in India. It's a very diverse country. It's a very, but still, because of my personal injuries, my personal experiences, and my house was burned by people whom I knew in the streets out there. So this kind of poison and things that happen, it takes time, but it is always somebody, whom because of this brainwashing, because of this fascism, because of these things. And let me tell you, Mr. Patel, I voted for you. I was very proud when I saw you on the chart. I said, finally an Indian is representing me, far from faraway lands. And I hope we don't cultivate this culture, because it is bad. It starts from a very meager thing, a very minuscule thing, but it grows. And this kind of an ideology and this thing should not be entertained. It should be put a stop right away. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments this evening from the public? Hearing no other comment, can I get a motion that the public comment portion be closed?
Motion.
Second. Questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Public portion is now closed.
Thank you. This time we'll go to our agendas. My agenda's in order, as I have two announcements. As of July 16, 2022, the suicide crisis and lifeline has changed to an easy three-digit number, 988. You still call the old suicide hotline, all your phone calls and messages will be routed to 988. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is a United States-based suicide prevention network with over 160 crisis centers that provide 24/7 service via toll-free hotline with the number 988. It's available to anyone in suicidal crisis or emotional distress. One more announcement, DFW hosts 6090 Ford's annual picnic Saturday, August 27th, 2022 from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. At their post on New Brunswick Avenue. Donation $25 for all attending. For tickets, call 732-738-7588 after 4 p.m. That's all I have tonight. Vice President Carroll.
Thank you, Council President. Just a couple of quick announcements. The Woodbridge Community Center is transitioning to their back-to-school activities. Everything from ice skating and roller skating, Zumba for kids. You can go to the community center and take a tour. Zumba classes and yoga classes for parents, back-to-school skate, as I said. And even from October 1st to the 31st, there's haunted mini golf in the back. So a lot of activities to ease going back to school. In the senior area, just an announcement, as we all know, the Senior Olympics are coming up September 9, 10, and 11. Until August 26, you can register and still get the significant discount. If you're a Woodbridge resident, it's njseniorolympics.com, or the hotline is 973-618-1111. And that's all I have. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
Councilman Small.
Thank you, Council President. Number 6 on my agenda, tomorrow, August 24th at 11 a.m., we will have a grand opening of our electric vehicle charging station. Our level 2 charging stations align with the Township's vision and mission towards zero emissions, encourage sustainable lifestyles, and reduce the carbon footprint. The location is New Street, behind Main Street, and that's 11 a.m. tomorrow. Number 12 on my agenda, National Public Lands Day, is the 24th of September. It will be held at the Ernie Orrells River Celebration, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Ernie Orrells Wildlife Sanctuary, Omar Avenue, is a free event with food and music. Volunteers are needed, and if you're interested, please call the Recreation Department at Lynn Caggiano at 732-596-4047. Number 3, Port Reading Fire and EMS on October 8th from 12 to 4 will be Port Reading Day. Every year it's celebrated. A member of the community of Fort Reading is given the Lifetime Achievement Award. It's held at Fort Reading Firehouse. Food, entertainment, anybody's welcome. Also, Fort Reading Fire EMS, October 26th at 6 p.m. will be the annual trunk or treat. More's coming on that, but I just wanted to put the date out there. Number 15, our Jazz Festival. Our concerts begin Thursday, September 8th, for 5 weeks, September 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th. October 6th, 7 p.m. behind Woodbridge High School. Come and enjoy the jazz concerts. Number 17 is the American Irish Association, halfway to St. Patrick's Day. This is the second year for this event. It was very successful last year. It will be held again on Sunday, September 18th at 1 to 5 at Woodbridge High School. 50-50, beer, wine, vendors, live music. It's a great day for the Irish, but a great day for anybody to come out and celebrate. I have an announcement. I was given this from Chief Golden, who is the career firefighter, fire chief over at Woodbridge Fire, that the Civil Service Commission is having a career firefighter test. The deadline, unfortunately, is August 31st, so there's not too much time left, but anybody that's interested in being a career firefighter, please go on New Jersey Civil Service Commission and look up firefighter. And if you have any questions on this, you can call Chief Golden at 732-602-6050. And just one other comment. I attended the Indian Day Parade. It seemed to be a very joyous occasion, like it normally is. I had no idea about the bulldozer. Obviously, it upset and offended a lot of people. You're here today. It's good for you guys to come out here and stand up for what you believe in. But as my fellow councilman said, knowing, Mr. Patel, Councilman Patel, as long as I do, and I know how much he cares about the community. And I think his statement was sincere. And from what the mayor said also, there's been meetings. I'm sure, it's going to be rectified. But, Councilman Patel does a great job on this board here, and I'm proud to serve with him. That's all I have, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman DeJesus.
Woman,
sorry. Take that back.
Thank you, Council President.
Councilwoman DeJesus.
Item number 8, the Hispanic Heritage Festival will be Saturday, September 17th from 12 to 5 right here on Main Street. Our live band will be between 1 and 2. Come enjoy our music, learn about our culture, and other, a lot of great stuff that we have going on that day. Item number 10, the library news. The library is sponsoring an online training for literacy tutors through Literacy New Jersey. Please call the library at 732-634-4450. The Bryan Art Center has an exhibit called Sculptural Diversity, Sculptor Affiliates of the Art Center of Northern New Jersey, on view from September 1st through October 28th. Founded in 1972, this group's mission has been to educate and inform the public about three-dimensional art. New Jersey sculptors from all corners of the world exhibit together throughout New Jersey, working in a wide range of materials from traditional stone and bronze to fiber, paper, and recycled products. The exhibits, entitled Sculptural Diversity, examines how our cultural differences can affect differences in choice and applications of materials. The Barron Art Center is also accepting vendor registration for Barron Fest 2022, Woodbridge 15th Annual Fine Arts and Crafts Festival. Please contact the Barron Art Center for more information. Then I have item number 12. On August 14th, we unveiled the sign designating East Williams Park in Hope Lawn Fords as Girl Scout Park, and that is right at the entrance of the Greenway. And then I want to announce that our backpack drives will happen this Friday in Hope Lawn. Anybody that lives in Hope Lawn and has school-age kids, please stop at the firehouse from 4 to 6. We'll be giving out backpacks. And in Catesby, it will be Saturday from 12 to 2 at the Clinton Avenue Park. Para los residentes de Hope Lawn estaremos dando mochilas el viernes en la Casa de Bomberos de 4 a 6 y en Catesby será el sábado de 12 a 2 en el parque de Clinton Avenue. And I have one announcement that Board of Ed member Dan Harris shared with me. Back to school sales tax holiday. We want to thank Applebee's also. They donated $1,100 for backpacks and school supplies yesterday. A couple of us went there, and I want to thank them. And we want to thank McDonald's on Route 9 in Hope Lawn. They're having a backpack giveaway on Saturday as well. Now back to school sales tax holiday, new 10-day holiday from paying the state sales tax on select back to school items, including computers, printers, art supplies, athletic equipment, and traditional supplies like pen, pencils, notebooks. Again, that is 10 days running from Saturday, August 27th through Labor Day on September 5th. That is all that I have, and I want to wish all of the kids that are going back to school and all the teachers, administrators, and support staff a great and blessed school year. That is all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman De Jesus. Councilman Spiller.
Thank you, Council President. Item number 8 on my agenda, Avalon Fire Company is having their annual comedy night. I don't want to rush through summer, but we normally sell this. We sell this out every event. Saturday, November 5th at 7 p.m. is $25 per ticket. For ticket information, you contact Chris at 732-803-1524, or you can reach out to myself. Our own Joe Fernandez is the headliner that night. Again, it's always a sellout. It's always a great night. You can bring your own refreshments, so that's always a good thing. Item number 9, the Avenue VFW asked me, we're having a wing fest this Saturday, August 28th from 2 to 5. That's located at 16 West Park Avenue. $5 per person for all you can eat wings. That's like, it could be like 2 sets of wing for me. For information, 732-636-9615. The rest of my agenda is in order, Council President. Just one announcement, 2 announcements. I'd just like to thank the mayor, the administration, the Rec and Parks Department for starting the process of realigning the big softball field at Peltzman Park to house another cricket field in the township. If you pass Peltzman Park on any weekend morning, you'll see that it's being used. A lot of our residents are taking part in cricket facilities, so that'll add another cricket area to the township. So thank you for that. And just to reiterate, Councilwoman De Jesus, school's starting, so just be mindful. We should always drive safely, but just keep in mind, kids will be back on the school on the roads, buses will be out, so just keep an eye out and see. Thank you to all our emergency responders, fire, EMS, our Woodbridge Police Department, CERT, and all our public works and township employees. God bless America. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Councilwoman Dean is excused. Councilman Anderson.
Thank you, Council President. My agenda is basically in order, but I did want to remind everyone that Hall of Fame tickets that is going on this fall in October, the Hall of Fame tickets are on sale. You can purchase them through the Recreation Department. The Woodbridge Township Addiction Services is hosting their 2nd annual 5K color run and walk. A race for new pathways to recovery. That's at the Alvin Williams Memorial Park on Saturday, September 24th. Registration begins at 8 a.m. and the race begins at 9 a.m. For more information, you can contact 732-855-0600, extension 5020, and reach out to Gabby Pasternak, and she'll be able to give you information on that. Unfortunately, I have some sad news. We have a young man that meant a lot to this community who was killed in a car accident a few weeks ago. Zaire Robinson was a former athlete, student athlete at Woodbridge High School. He was also now coaching at Raritan Valley Community College. He was a phenomenal football and basketball player and just an all-around great young man. Zaire was 24 years old, and he had a 3-month-old son, Zane. Together with the township and Zaire's friends, and the mayor is also supporting this as well through his charitable fund. We will be hosting a 3-on-3 tournament for Zane Robinson, his son, on October 1st. And that's going to be held at various courts throughout Woodbridge Township. The championship will be at our new Acacia basketball courts over here on Port Reading Avenue. The teams are $100 entry fee for the high school age team and $200 entry fee for the adult teams. All the profits from the proceed will go to Zane Robinson's educational fund and also money toward Zane's mom so she can help raise her 3-month-old son. So if you have any questions, you can contact Mr. Tominski about the tournament. Contact Mr. Tominski, Bobby Tominski at the Recreation Department. We're asking teams to get out and sign up as soon as possible. The deadline is September 16th. I would like to make a comment on behalf of Councilman Patel. I too was at the parade. We tend to walk up in front of the parade because the parade tends to move very, very slowly. And we like to get out in front of the parade and say our hellos, and then we're on the stage and receive everyone. I don't think anyone saw a bulldozer, but I can understand your feeling about that and what it represents. I mentioned something to an educator tonight about communities that were burned down in this century, or for my, where my grandparents, when they experienced, and he was unaware of it. So as they say, if you're unaware of history, you're likely to repeat it. But I stand by Councilman Patel, his words. I believe that parades are meant to unify communities, not to divide. It would be like having something at the St. Patrick's Day where it puts the Protestants versus the Catholics. That would be something we wouldn't want to see. Here, that day, everyone is Irish. I believe the Indian Day Parade, we're all Indian on that day. I enjoy that parade every year, and I don't want to see anything bring it down. If there is a bulldozer in that parade next year, I will not be there, okay? And I won't support that. As far as comments that are made regarding education, the Board of Education meeting usually is the third Thursday of every month, and you're more than welcome to attend that meeting to express your concern, because those are the people that really have the impact on what goes on here in our district. The governor has charged every municipality with working with their community on how the information is going to be delivered. And there are reasons on why standards have been changed. We do rely on our children. Not everyone has a 2-parent household. Not everyone has a household where parents communicate with them. So we do rely on our teachers for a lot of information. As I did as a child, I relied on my teachers for a lot of information. I have a son who actually teaches sex ed, and I talk to him about that regularly, and I'm very proud of the work that he does, and I believe that he delivers that information fairly, and he does it in a way that children, they can feel comfortable about the information that they're getting. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Patel.
Thank you, Council President. My agenda is also in order. But again, I would like to thank all my colleagues, for your really supporting statements, and thanks for coming out on that day. Great, so thank you. I would like to also thank you all for being here. You do have rights to express your concerns. I'm with you. As I said again, I think the float was, not the float, the bulldozer was, I think, in the middle, and that's what happened.
It really doesn't matter.
No, but
it represents hate.
Right, he has the floor right now, thank you.
So what happened, but I learned a lot now in the last 1 week, and I stand by with you guys. Let me tell you, actually from my side, I raised my 3 daughters in Islin. I've been Islin residents for about 42 years. They do have all the friends, they have Sikh, they have Muslims, and all, they come my home. And it's really great to hear from you as parents, that I think we don't allow this kind of divisive tactics used by the leaderships there, But thank you. If you want to meet, we can meet after the meeting too. That's fine. Okay, for the past 3 months almost, we have been working on many reconstruction repaving jobs in Iselin and Menlo Park Terrace. In Iselin, we just did repaving job on LaGuardia Avenue, Middlesex Essex Turnpike, which is a county road, and currently we are working on a repaving job on Channel Hill Roads, which basically connects Iselin, Colonia, and Avenue. We also reconstructed and repaved Isabel Street, Ethel Street, and Ford Avenue in Menlo Park Terrace area. The residents of Iselin and Menlo Park Terrace wholeheartedly thank our engineering, roadway and street maintenance, and especially our public works and Woodbridge Police Departments for continuously working on the street improvements. Also, I have one more announcement. This year again, 1947 Production is organizing Ganesha Festival in the parking lot of Woodbridge Center Mall. This festival will start next week on Wednesday, August 31st, and will continue till Sunday, September 4th. There will be many guests attending this event, and especially in the evening, if you may experience some extra traffic at the intersection of Woodbridge Center Drive and US Route 1. Also, schools are opening in 2 weeks. I would like to congratulate and extend my best wishes to all students and their parents. That's all for tonight. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you. Councilwoman McCullough.
Thank you, Council President. My agenda is in order, and I just have a couple of things tonight. I want to let everyone know that September 17th, the St. James Street Fair is coming, so that'll be on Main Street, starting at 10 o'clock in the morning. It'll be closed maybe like at 8 o'clock in the morning, so just be aware of that. There will be food, crafts, music, and it's a great time. Come out and check everything out there. Also, the Gallery on Main is having a pop-up show this Sunday, the 28th, from 2 to 5 at the Avenue Arts Center. You can come out and meet the artists and see the work of some of the things that they display at the Gallery on Main, which is located on Main Street in Woodbridge. And lastly, a local band Thursday has Marnie and the Martians this week at the stage, the Seawarren Stage, located on Ferry Street across from Moby Dick's, and the music starts at 7:30. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
I'd like to add one more on to your announcements that I received overlooked. At the Barron Arts Center, September 1st through October 28th, Sculptural Diversity, sculpture affiliates of the Art Center of Northern New Jersey. The exhibit entitled Sculptural Diversity examines how our cultural differences can affect differences in choice and an application of materials. So if you want to come out September 1st through October 28th at the Barron Arts Center, located at 582 Broadway Avenue, Woodbridge, New Jersey, telephone 732-634-0413. Mr. Mitch.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple comments. Thank you for taking action on the liquor license issues tonight. One was a transfer. The second one is the acknowledgement of the creation of a new liquor license for the American Irish. I tell you, I know the Attorney General is waiting for that, so when we finish the meeting, I will send that to her so they can proceed with that new club. Letter C under number 1 will be before you at the next meeting for a transfer. Letter D is on hold, that transfer. Everything's at the standard. That's all I have for you.
Thank you, Mr. Mitch. Director Hunter.
Thank you, Council President. I have one traffic ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Darden.
Thank you, Council President. Just our standard bi-weekly refund resolutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Brewer.
Thank you, Council President. My agenda is in order.
Thank you. Mrs. Administrator Zaloka.
Thank you, Council President. For our next meeting being held September 13th, I will have several items. Resolution on a tax and sewer overpayment, a county tax appeal, and a 100% disabled veteran. I'll also have 2 add-ons on my agenda tonight. There's a resolution executing a small government enterprise contract between ESRI for GIS supportive software, and that's a renewal, and for Alamo Group for sampling on the sulfite contribution to the assessment for our interceptor program for our sewers. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Legal.
Thank you, Council President.
Let's have one more statement regarding the Indian Day Parade. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make the parade due to a prior family event. Like Councilman Anderson said, these parades are about unifying our communities, not dividing them. We had other hate issues come across us the past few years, and I made some statements earlier in the year about hate, and like I said, no one on this council or administration endorses hate or hate groups. I'd like to read a statement I read earlier in the year. We as a township are demonstrating our commitment to all aspects of diversity and inclusion with a collective effort to build an inclusion and an environment for all, so we all can get along, come together and celebrate, all right? Like I said, I wasn't there, but I've learned of the issue today. Thank you for presenting us the information. We'll look into it. Motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.